Welcome to the Plant Trainers Podcast, where we're helping people improve their quality of life through nutrition and fitness. And now, your hosts, nutrition and wellness coaches, international speakers, Adam and Shoshana Chaim.
Hey, I'm Adam Chaim.
And I'm Shoshana Chaim, and we are
Propelled by Plants. Today we bring to you episode 235, Making Cooking Easy for Everyone with Sam Turnbull.
In today's episode of the Plant Trainers Podcast, we talked to Sam Turnbull about making vegan cooking easy for everyone. A lot of people think they have to eat like a rabbit if they adopt a vegan diet, and they don't end up making the change despite their understanding that this can make a difference in their health and also in our environment. We talked to Sam about how she veganized her favorite comfort foods and made them affordable and easy for everyone. Sam doesn't get wrapped up with fancy superfood ingredients, and we can attest that flavor is never compromised in her recipes. This show is going to give you everything you need to keep costs down, to keep the ingredient list short, and even to get you thinking about what you can make for your loved ones for Valentine's Day this year. That's right, it's right around the corner. We hope that you're not hungry now, because by the end of this show, you will definitely be.
Sam Turnbull is the creative voice and vision behind the popular blog, It Doesn't Taste Like Chicken, author of the cookbook Fuss Free Vegan, and now a YouTuber. Growing up in a family of foodies, chefs, butchers, and hunters, yeah, it's true, Sam was determined to prove that vegan cooking didn't have to be all kale and quinoa. Her easy, comforting, satisfying, and totally non-scary recipes struck a chord with vegans, vegetarians, and even carnivores everywhere. Sam's first cookbook has been met with rave reviews, and it's already on its second printing after only 1 month since being released. She also won the #LoveLentils competition and had the honor of filming a cooking show with Chef Michael Smith.
How to get your kids wanting to try new foods while learning in the process without hours of pointless screen time. If you're an aunt, uncle, parent, teacher, or have kids at all in your life, you've got to listen up. We're so proud. We're officially announcing that our Yummy Foods activity book for kids is available on Amazon. Kids need to know more about the foods they eat. They need to be motivated and educated so that they can make better food decisions and build their culinary skills that will grow with them into the future. The reviews that have been coming in say things like,
"The book is interesting, fun, informative, and I feel good about the fact that my kids not only want to play in it, but they're learning at the same time. It's a win-win."
And
I recommend it for homeschooling, church-based programs, and presentations to elementary-age kids. The worksheets can also be used as a fun activity to test basic food literacy knowledge in adult-based presentations.
this is a great way to get kids off their electronics and learning about where their food comes from, how it supports their body, and other drills and skills for the kitchen. So stock up for Valentine's Day, birthdays, and I love you presents right now. You could find it by searching on Amazon or going to planttrainers.com/yummyfoods.
That's planttrainers.com/yummyfoods. And now for a moment of gratitude.
I am grateful for choice, and I am grateful for dedication. This morning, I left the house at around 6:35 to get to the gym, which should have taken about 5 minutes. And by the time I got into the parking lot, I realized that I had left my running shoes at home. And I had two choices at that point. I could turn around and go home and say, okay, I'll just work out later because I'm going to be late for my class now. Or I could go home and get my shoes, hustle back, get in that gym, and work twice as hard. And that's what I chose.
Nice choice.
Thank you.
Well done. Today I'm grateful for a letter I got from a student who thanked me for teaching her about yams. Oddly enough, I eat sweet potatoes all the time, and she picked up on it, and she was excited to learn about a new vegetable. So I'm grateful for that letter.
Sam Turnbull, we had a little bit of a problem getting our Skype working today, but we finally made it work. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Do you have a moment of gratitude that you want to share with us and our listeners?
Yeah, tonight is a frigid, cold, snowy night, so I am very thankful to have my little pooch with me so I can snuggle up with her on the couch.
That's wonderful. We know exactly what you're going through in terms of weather right now. We're not too far from you, actually. We could have done this in person. So yeah, it's been cold. I shoveled snow today. We had ice falling from the sky on Saturday. It's been pretty wretched, but we're doing okay.
Yeah. It's pretty cold, but we're okay. It's okay. Luckily, I'm a cook, so I get to be in the kitchen a lot. That's my excuse.
So you're a cook, and your website and blog, you call it Doesn't Taste Like Chicken. So I thought that was really creative and interesting and nice. Can you tell us how you got that name?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so there's that kind of old expression that people say when something is usually bland or flavorless, that it tastes like chicken. And so I wanted to play on that by saying it doesn't taste like chicken because it obviously isn't bland, but also it isn't chicken. So that was kind of my little bump chick vegan joke.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. So how long ago did you become vegan?
5 years ago.
And what brought that on?
I watched a documentary called Vegucated. Have you seen that one?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's very cute. So I watched that one, and I actually made the switch overnight. I woke up the next morning and cleaned out my whole cupboard and got rid of all of the animal products in my house. And I knew like I wanted to do it, and I knew that I should do it, but I wasn't like 100% convinced, even though like I went food ways the whole way. So like that night I watched Forks Over Knives, and then I followed that with like every health documentary and animal rights documentary and environment documentary and book I could get my hands on. And so everything I read and everything I watched just continually was like, you have to be vegan. And I was like, fine, I will.
So were you already a chef before that?
No, but I grew up in a family of foodies and chefs and butchers and hunters, actually. But so I always grew up cooking. We grew up in the country, and there's no restaurants nearby. And so it was very much food culture. Like we'd wake up in the morning, and the conversation would always be, what delicious meal are we going to create for dinner? It would just be planning it all day long. So I grew up cooking for sure, but I'm not a trained professional chef, you wouldn't say.
Well, you wouldn't know.
No, it's good. I like to make home cooking, though, right? You don't need to be professional to do that.
It's interesting that you came to it from Vegucated, the film, because that's not one that usually we hear people get, not converted, but we don't usually hear people saying that Vegucated is the one that really opened the door for them. What was it about that film that got to you?
Yeah, well, it was the first one I watched, so that was definitely one of the main reason. But yeah, I guess I had always thought vegans were weird and extreme and silly and dying of protein deficiency, as I think many people do. And then I saw that documentary, and it's so like, da-da-da, we're so happy and healthy and anyone can do it. And I was like, yeah, anyone can do it. I should do that. It kind of felt like that to me. I think for me, the kind of more lighthearted approach, even though it addresses serious topics in that documentary, but overall it's a little bit more lighthearted. I think that worked for me because if it was just like extreme, you need to be vegan, I think that would have pushed me in the wrong direction.
Like Earthlings.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one?
I've seen about 10 minutes of it. That's all I can handle. Yeah. I gave myself an excuse that I don't need to watch anymore because I already am vegan. I think all non-vegans should be required to watch it though.
What other documentaries or books do you recommend to people when you know that they just need that last push to make it happen?
Yeah, I always try to find out what is it that would work for people, because I don't think people get inspired to go vegan or at least plant-based for all the same reasons. So if someone is really interested in their health, I'd push them towards like Forks Over Knives. If someone's interested in animal rights, I'd push them towards Earthlings, or maybe even shorter is Meet Your Meat, and then environment, Cowspiracy. So I always just try to figure out what would affect someone the most.
That's smart. Yeah. And I think that we should all do that, because a lot of times I find a lot of the advocates, a lot of the influencers, we're just doing what we know, but we've got to meet people where they are and we've got to reach them where they are. Exactly.
Yeah. Like, so I have a lot of friends who are like super into bodybuilding. So I always just kind of like tag them in vegan bodybuilder things, you know, just kind of like hint, hint.
Yeah. Check out Robert Jake. You got it.
Yeah, exactly.
So you weren't always a blogger, you weren't always a chef, you weren't always doing this home cooking thing. Tell us a little bit about how you followed your passion.
have my degree. I have actually my master's in fine art, and that was from LA. And so I worked in the movie industry there for a while doing painting. So that was like large scale painting murals and backgrounds of sets and everything. But I realized I didn't like doing that. And so then I worked in fashion design and I didn't like doing that. And then I was a graphic designer and I didn't like doing that. And then I was an art director and I was like, okay, this is going to be great. I'm at the top of the chain. Like I'm going to love it because I knew I always wanted to be in charge of my own projects. But I realized I was still making work for someone else. It was someone else's ideas, someone else's projects, and I had to show up on their schedule. And I realized I didn't want to do that. I really wanted to run my own business. And so with that kind of in mind, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do yet. When I went vegan, inspiration kind of spiked, and I wanted to show my friends and family how easy it was to eat vegan and how you could eat delicious vegan food. So that's when I started sharing my recipes online, and it was so rustic in the beginning. But then every now and then I started getting a comment from someone, like some random person in the world was like, I love this recipe. And I was like, oh my God, my heart melted. I was so happy. Like, I think I'm like a dog. If you pat me on the head and tell me I'm good, I'll love you forever. So I was like, okay, this is great. So I just started researching how to like turn a blog into a business. And then I just put all my effort into that.
So you took your artistic talent and you made it very visual, online visual, palatable visual. You kind of,
thank you.
Yeah, you have all of your talents that you had from before, and you just kind of pushed it through. And I know that our children, we were at the London Veg Food Fest and we saw you speak there, and you were making your mac and cheese from your book that we'll talk about soon. And you also had these chocolate chip cookies. And my daughter, whoever was serving the cookies for you, my daughter kept following her around, and I think she didn't realize that she had already had like first tastes, and then she had like third tastes and fifth tastes. So
that's awesome.
So your food definitely passes in our house. I was wondering I was wondering what your opinion is on, because you do the comfort foods, you do a lot of the, you veganize foods that everybody's used to eating. So, that whole terminology of, do we call it mock this or that, or do we just call it what it is, or come out like, do we call them lentil balls or do we call them vegan meatballs? I wanted to know your take on that.
Yeah, so personally, I don't like calling my recipes mock or recipes, or like chicken spelled weird or anything like that, because I don't like the concept that I'm eating something that's fake or mock or I like the fact that I'm eating real food, and I don't think vegans, when you call something kind of a mock something, it kind of almost apologizes for what it is before you even serve it to someone. So I don't eat fake food. I eat real food, and that's what I like to eat. And so I do use words like bolognese. I'd use a tofu bolognese or carrot lox or a carrot hot dog. But in that context, I'm not using it as part of an animal, but instead of a flavor description or a dish description, so people kind of know what to expect. Just like the term veggie burger wasn't coined until the 80s. Before that, all burgers were just burgers. So yeah, so that's how I'm just trying to like progress the food vocabulary. And I don't think we should, I mean, personally, you can do what you want, but I don't like calling things mock something. I just rather call it what it is and not what it isn't.
It's funny
because
because in our home and in our communities online and healthy plant-based families and everything that we're doing, we don't say veggie burgers. We just say we're having burger night, right?
Yeah,
and like, what's a burger? A burger is some kind of patty slapped between a bun. Or in these days, 2 pieces of lettuce or kale too, right?
Yeah.
Or collard greens, right? A burger is a burger, but it's funny because if we ever say hamburger, which we never really use anymore, our kids will be like, what do you mean it's hamburger? Because they think it's like ham making the burger, which is kind of cute. So for us, and I mean, I'll get called on it a couple of times in Facebook groups or in even my own Facebook group where I'll write, just add a bit of milk. And people go, what do you mean milk? I thought that you're completely plant-based. I'm like, I am plant-based. But when I say milk, I don't mean cow's milk. I just, like, it just is what it is, right?
Right. And that's progressing the food vocabulary. Exactly. So things are just changing slowly but surely.
Your book, Fuss-Free Vegan, which apparently for me doesn't have a fuss-free title.
Everyday comfort food favorites veganized.
So tell us about your book, Fuss-Free Vegan.
So I wrote the book I wish I had when I went vegan. When I went vegan, like being a food lover, the first thing I did was hit up my kitchen. And so I searched for delicious vegan recipes. And what I mostly found was a lot of kale and quinoa or like mock chicken recipes. And I didn't want any of that stuff. I just wanted my favorite classic foods to eat. I didn't know why I had to suddenly love Buddha bowls and energy balls and smoothies and eat that when I was like, I just want pancakes and burgers and burritos. Why can't I have that? So that's basically what I did. I made a book of all of my classic comfort food favorites: pancakes, waffles, burgers, burritos, tacos, salads, soups, cakes, cookies, pies, all that good stuff. Made vegan, and it's not using any like weird or hard to find ingredients. I tried to make everything as easy to find as possible, so you should be able to find almost everything in your regular grocery store and not have to go to a health food store because I'm lazy and I hate making 2 trips. So that's what it is. It's just a really great, easy book for anyone who's new vegan, old vegan, doesn't matter.
So what are your favorite recipes from the book?
Everyone always asks me that, and it's so hard because I love creating new recipes. But I think if today, anyway, I'll say that my favorite is probably like my smoky sun-dried tomato pizza, which is on the cover of my book. And then my creme brulee is really good. I've been craving that recently. I think I might make the burgers again soon. I don't know. They're all so good. I mean, they're all my favorites, right? So it's hard to choose.
So you talked about the ingredients being really easy to find and, not those crazy things where you can't pronounce them. You don't know what country they come from and nobody knows what you're talking about in the grocery store. So if people are starting out or want to start to cook more home food or make it simple, what are the 5 must-have staples for perishables and non-perishables for the refrigerator and pantry? Yeah.
All right. I didn't know you were going to ask that. I thought you were asking my favorite pantry staples, not other people's.
Well, what are your favorite, or what if it's your favorite, then it's something that you'd want other people to have in their pantry? Because
well, maybe. I mean, I don't know if everyone eats like I do, but yeah, like in my pantry, I always have nutritional yeast, which that definitely is weird and vegan, unfortunately, but it's delicious and everyone needs to have it.
Yeah,
I think so. It's just got the worst name ever. I mean, come on, give us vegans a break.
Just call it nooch.
Yeah, and I always have an array of noodles on hand, pasta, and then like Asian noodles, rice noodles, that kind of thing. Raw cashews because they can make cheeses or creamy sauces. And then I'll always have coffee on hand because I am a coffee addict, and popcorn because I love popcorn and I could eat popcorn all day long and be totally happy, but that would not make for good blog content.
With the nooch, you could eat it with the nooch, and
absolutely,
if it's fortified B12, then you're good.
Yeah. No, I have popcorn with nooch, and I have it with peanut butter and all sorts of different ways. I prepare it all the ways possible.
I was going to say those 5 staples mixed together would make an interesting combo.
Yeah,
No,
I think the
not
coffee
so
would not work in there.
You can make some kind of mocha chocolate sauce for the popcorn, and then put it in the freezer and pickle it. Oh my God! Okay, we're spinning out of control. What about perishables? What are your perishables that you always have on hand?
For me, I always have bananas and berries. Usually they're frozen berries because I'm cheap. And yeah, that's because I like to have breakfast and oatmeal, sometimes smoothies, even though I'm like, yeah, smoothies are fine sometimes. And then I always have lots of onion and garlic and ginger on hand because you can make anything out of those. And I always have some greens on hand because I'm addicted to green things, which is so vegan, I know, but it happens. And then, yeah, I would have probably soy cream for my coffee as a coffee addict.
Your book is all comfort food, which is usually very rich, right? Very pasta heavy, very bread heavy, very cashew heavy or cream heavy. So,
yeah.
But you're a tiny girl. Would you eat your own those recipes all day long, or like are there smoothies and salads and stuff like that in there too?
Well, I mean, there's salads in my book.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, no, I eat all my food. I mean, because I do, as much as you might think of the food as being heavy, I do limit the oil use and things as much as possible, generally, unless it's like a cake or something, because you don't want like a non-oily, you just want like,
if you're gonna have cake, have cake.
Yeah. But for everything else, I try to cut out oil as much as possible. Like my mozzarella and nacho cheese actually don't even have any oil. It's a whole food recipe, which is pretty cool. And I'll use like a tablespoon for cooking with for the pasta. But if you use like fresh ingredients, like it's all good food. Yeah. So no, yeah, I am my own ad for my book. I do eat my recipes.
So a lot of people think that when they start to become plant-based, they start to go vegan, that the shopping is going to be expensive. The ingredients are going to be expensive. It's going to cost them a lot of money to eat this way. What are your secrets to keeping your costs low when it comes to vegan cooking?
Yeah, just don't buy prepared products generally. I mean, already your bill is likely going to be cheaper because meat and cheese tend to be the most expensive things in your grocery bill. But it's always those processed, prepackaged ingredients, the, veggie dogs, the ground vegan meats, the cheeses, that's always going to be the most expensive stuff because not only is it a recipe that someone's prepared, but you're paying them to put it in a package and then market it to you. So if you want to be cheap as a vegan, just stick to the outside of the store, buy the fruits and veggies, the grains, all that stuff. That's how to be cheap and healthy. So it's win-win.
Would you buy in bulk?
Buying in bulk also helps, yeah.
Yeah.
What about Costco? Do you shop at Costco?
I do not, no. I'm only me, so I don't really need giant bins of things.
Yeah.
And then when you have the giant bins, you just feel like you need to use it and you eat it all up anyway. We're not really Costco. Maybe we should be, but we're not really Costco shoppers either.
No, I sometimes go to the bulk stores near me to buy like things like raw cashews in bulk because that can save money for them for sure. Usually raw cashews at the regular grocery store are ridiculously expensive. Or you could also go to different ethnic grocery stores. There's a little Indian grocery store near my house, and the cashews there are like a quarter of the prices there at the regular grocery store. So whenever they're there, and they usually sell them even cheaper if they're in pieces. So I'll always buy like all of them, and they think I'm crazy because I'll walk out with all the cashews. But it works perfectly.
Yeah, that sounds good. It sounds like a lot of creamy sauces, a lot of salad dressing. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, delish.
The other challenge people have is that they say they have to go to the grocery store so often. They can't just go once a week anymore because they need fresh produce, they need fresh food. They need to go every day or every second day. How do you feel about that?
Well, I know I go to the grocery store like 3 times a week, but that's because I'm a recipe writer and I always need to get more stuff. But no, I don't think that's true. I mean, there are some things that would go bad in a couple days, like maybe some berries or something. But but I think most of it will keep for a week. Yeah.
Last week I did the shopping on Sunday afternoon, and I had to do just a fast little run during the week because I think I changed my mind, or I think I needed to return something. That's what happened. I needed to return something. I bought a yucca and I didn't realize that half of it was already like smushy. So I brought it back and then just picked up a few other things while I was there. But I didn't go back to the grocery store till yesterday. So that was last Sunday until the following Monday. So It was about 8 days till I went back. I think the key is planning, right? The key is planning. The key is knowing a little bit about how to store the food, what goes in the fridge, what goes in the pantry, what is your fridge at the proper temperature? Because sometimes people's carrots and greens and everything will freeze at the back. If your freezer's on too high, your refrigerator will actually ice your veggies. So you've got to be careful with all of that. But if you plan properly, and you plan the meals that use the foods that go spoil fast, then you're good.
Yeah, no, I think so. Like my best friend is vegan and she only goes shopping once a week. I don't know how to do this because I wouldn't say that I'm the best at planning because I'm just continually recipe testing. But some other people have this skill, not me.
We're taking a pause to let you know this episode of the Plant Trainers Podcast is sponsored by Health IQ. Health IQ uses science and data to secure lower rates on life insurance for health-conscious people like runners, cyclists, triathletes, strength trainers, vegans, and more. As we get older, we get scared about applying for life insurance because traditionally, the older you are, the worse rates you get. But imagine being 20 years older and getting a better rate on your life insurance because you recently started training for life, eating more plants, and taking better care of yourself. That's what happens when you apply for life insurance with Health IQ. You get the best rates on life insurance for being in great shape and living a healthy lifestyle. Health IQ customers save up to 33% on their life insurance because physically active people have a 56% lower risk of heart disease, 20% lower risk of cancer, and a 58% lower risk of diabetes compared to those who are inactive. And vegans have 9% lower risk of cardiovascular disease and 15% lower risk of all-cause mortality. Like saving money on your car insurance for being a good driver, Health IQ saves you money on your life insurance for living a health-conscious lifestyle. These savings are exclusive to Health IQ, and you must qualify to get the special rates. To see if you qualify, get your free quote today at healthiq.com/planttrainers or mention the promo code planttrainers when you talk to a Health IQ agent. And now, back to the show.
So in all of your recipe testing and all of your recipe shopping for, what is your favorite luxury items to buy? Like those ones where we're not saving money and we're like those obscure kind of ingredients.
Yeah, I'd say raw cashews for sure. And then every now and then I'll buy something like a fancy schmancy vegan ice cream that'll be way too much money for a tiny little tub, and you'll kind of be grumpy about it, but then it'll be so good.
It will be so good. You know what? It's funny because we were talking about at the beginning how cold it is here, but we've been making a lot of banana and ice cream lately, and everybody's kind of requesting it, even though it's freezing outside. It's like, can we have ice cream, please? And yeah, so that's kind of fun too. When you have a good Vitamix or you have a good blender and you start to experiment with frozen ice creams at home, then you kind of don't need those other ice creams anymore. It's just what they mix in is so good. Yeah, wrong, but so good.
Perfect.
So let's talk a little bit about simple recipes and why they need to be simple, because I know that that's something that's important to you.
Yeah, so that's important to me. I don't think all recipes need to be simple. Sometimes people like doing complicated things, and that's great too. But for me, like, I'm the kind of person who starts making dinner when I'm already hungry. It's a really bad habit. Even now, even though I work professionally as a cook, I still do it. So I just like to get in and out of the kitchen as quickly as possible and not confuse people. But I think also a lot of people who come to vegan probably haven't cooked a lot before or don't really want to cook, but you kind of have to cook a little bit more if you go vegan. So I just want to show people that it doesn't have to be complicated. You can just use 10 ingredients, 5 ingredients, depending on the recipe, throw together something in 15, 20, 30 minutes, depending on the recipe, and have a super delicious, satisfying, hearty dinner.
I hope that other bloggers and recipe constructors are listening, because there should be a warning at the beginning of some of the recipes out there. Like, warning, warning, you will lose your hair, you will go gray, or like you will run out of time, whatever it is. Or practice this recipe before making it for other people, because some of them are really complicated and have a million ingredients. And especially, and I mean, that's true in the omni world too, but when you're first starting out to eat plant-based or to eat a vegan diet, you want to be comfortable, you want to be more familiar, because making recipes for the first time is really scary and it's hard, and it's not what you should be doing when you get home at 6 o'clock with 8 screaming children and you need to have dinner on the table in 15 minutes. You know, those new recipes should come when you have time, when you're more relaxed.
Exactly.
And as a recipe writer myself, I know that I try not to overcomplicate my writing. Right? We want to keep it simple for the readers also, but also when it is a little bit more complicated, there should be some kind of screaming flashing light letting people know.
That would be good. Yeah, no, yeah. For me, I try to keep them as simple as possible. I do a lot of recipe testing, so I always, as I go about it, I always try to find out ways that are simpler, less pots and pans. If I can cut ingredients anywhere, I always try to do that. So I always just keep it to as basic as possible with my recipes.
That's awesome. That's how I like
Plain
it.
and simple, but delicious.
Yeah, for people that are new to cooking this way, what would be some of the mistakes that they should be looking out for to trying to avoid?
I think a lot of people, when they start cooking vegan for the first time, expect food to be exactly the same as how it used to be. So if you are having a tofu bolognese, for example, they might expect it to taste exactly like meat. And I think you should try to get that comparison out of your head and stop trying to compare it to something, and instead just appreciate it for what it is. And I think you'll enjoy it a lot more.
And I think that has a lot to do with how we label our food, right? Like if we're like a faux meat bolognese, or we just call it like a vegan bolognese, all you think is bolognese. But if you have the word tofu in there, it kind of changes your expectation because it changes the name, right?
Right.
A lot of people say if Dea is not a good cheese, but if you go 2 weeks without eating any dairy cheese or any faux cheese and then taste the Dea, you're going to have a better appreciation for it because you're not expecting it to taste just like the cheese you ate yesterday.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So with my recipes, because I generally don't use the word chicken and stuff like that, I don't think people get very disappointed very often. But also they're good, I hope.
So how can cooking be really easy for everybody? What are some of the things that they should expect, or what are some of the things that they should be aware of before they enter the kitchen, let's say if they're not experienced cookers?
I just think it's mainly about breaking old habits and replacing them with new ones. So if you used to always add milk to your coffee, just use a vegan milk. If you used to put butter in your popcorn, use a vegan popcorn. It's just, and maybe it's even something different. If you used to have cheese as a snack, maybe you're going to have some, I don't know, granola as a snack, or a vegan cheese, or some apples, or I don't know, whatever you want as a snack. But I think it's just kind of breaking those old habits that you used to have, finding what works for you to replace them. And then once you do that, it just becomes a habit. Like, I think a lot of vegan people think vegans are stressed about what they're eating all the time. And they're like, oh my God, what am I possibly going to eat? But once you get used to eating that way, you just eat that way. You don't really have to think about it anymore.
So what I find in my work and working with parents trying to do meal plans for the family, or trying to get their kids to eat more vegetables or what have you, the problems that I see with the Omni families and the problems that I see with the vegan families aren't very different. The problem isn't that we're feeding our kids vegetarian or vegan or plant-based or whatever you want to call it. The problem is that parents parent and kids are kids, and there's a disconnect with food sometimes, and we need to change behaviors, we need to change habits, we need to change vocabulary, we need to change outlook. But so it's not so much about, oh my God, what do I make because I'm plant-based or vegan? It's, oh my, like every mother's like, what do I make? I'm tired of making the same recipe and my kids aren't eating it anymore. I'm making 1,000 meals. It's the same problems across the board. So I really just think that, exactly, like just get your stuff together, people. Meal plan, know what to expect. And it's not really about, there's a plethora of recipes out there, whether no matter what kind of diet you follow, you could find hundreds and thousands of recipes. So it's not so much about what to make. It's about trying things. It's about being organized and really making sure you have all the ingredients to make what you need to make before you sit down to make it or stand up to make it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree.
What are some of the recipes that you find keep omnivores the happiest?
I think it totally depends on each person, but I think generally when I cook for omnivores, meat and cheese and dairy tend to be very high in fat and high in salt. And so I tend to up the fat and salt a little bit to make them happy. I think once you've been vegan for a long time, you probably will start going down in craving those as much. And so you'll probably use less salt and less fat when you're eating and cooking, which is excellent. But yeah, so for meat eaters, that's what I generally do. And I think they like it better that way.
So which recipes specifically are you thinking of?
I don't know even actually. It depends. It's surprising what people will like though. Like one of my very fitnessy friends, it's not even it's a super good for you recipe, but he loves my dude approved chickpea salad sandwich, and that's why it's called. It's not salad. It's not a sandwich. A salad. My dude approved BBQ chickpea salad, I think I called it. And he's the dude that approved it. So he's just a fitnessy guy. So he actually does want to eat healthy, but doesn't really know how to eat vegan because he's not. So whenever I just cover the chickpeas in barbecue sauce, and that adds the smoky flavors that they're used to. And he loves it. He thinks it's the best thing ever. Or I have friends who love pho. And so I'll make them that. Yeah, I just try to figure out what people crave, and then I'll make them a better version than they've ever had before.
Sweet.
So it's the dead of winter. It's freezing cold. Mm-hmm. What's your go-to comfort food right now?
Anything noodly.
So your mac and cheese?
Mac and cheese, the bolognese, the rosé pasta that I have, anything like that, or even my Asian noodles soup. What did I call it? No, it's not Asian noodle. Get well noodle soup. Or my pho. There, I'm combining a million recipes in my head at once. Anything like that would be scrumptious.
Pho sounds delicious. It's been years and years and years since I've had a bowl of that.
You have to make it immediately. It's so healthy. It
so
only takes 30 minutes to make.
I gotta make it. But what I've been craving curry and all cumin and all of those deep, rich spices, I guess, to warm up my insides, right?
Sure,
like I've
yeah.
just been craving so much. Adam's like, curry again? I'm like, oh, so good.
Well,
I just posted a lentil curry soup the other day. Yeah, I'm absolutely into that as well. Because I can't post only noodle recipes on my blog or people will get cranky.
So we're just a few short weeks away from Valentine's Day. What kind of amazing recipes would you suggest people look into for their Valentine's Day menu?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'll be cooking for anyone for Valentine's Day, but I would probably do pasta with my bean balls, have a real Lady and Tramp moment. And then maybe either my creme brulee. Yeah, I think my creme brulee. I was going to say, or my cheesecake, but I think I'd do the creme brulee.
Fancy.
Yeah. Get the fire going, right?
Yeah.
Fire that
a little
up
red
on
wine, maybe some bourbon. I don't know if you guys drink, but that's what I would do.
Only a few times a year, but I think we spend Valentine's Day with the kids. Yeah.
So you're okay. Well, you guys can make like shortbread cookies or something.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll want something with chocolate.
Chocolate. Yeah.
Chocolate cake.
Chocolate
Can't go
cake.
wrong with
chocolate
chocolate
curry.
cake. Chocolate curry.
No.
I don't think so.
So what's next for you? What's new? What's hot off on the press?
So this year I am focusing on YouTube for the first time. I posted some YouTube videos here and there sporadically over the last couple of years, but I've never really put any effort into it. And so I don't know, I've heard that video's where it's at now. So I've decided to post a brand new YouTube video every Wednesday this year as a New Year's resolution. So we'll see how that goes. It should be fun though.
That's awesome. We'll link to that in the show notes at planttrainers.com.
Thank you. That'd be great. Yeah, come join me in my kitchen. It's going to be a good time.
What actual tips do you have for people who are starting out in the kitchen cooking today?
Starting out in the kitchen today, get your hands on some super delicious recipes. I know an excellent blog called It Doesn't Taste Like Chicken.
I've heard of that one.
We're going to have to find that one and link to it in our show notes if we could do that.
Yeah. I think that's where you should start, is get some recipes. Peruse around the internet. Pinterest is great because you can search visually, and I think we all eat with our eyes. And just start looking up vegan recipes, write down some ingredients, hit the grocery store, get some stuff for your cupboards, and start playing around in the kitchen. And if something doesn't work out, don't take that as like, oh my God, vegan food is no good. It's just a recipe that isn't to your tastes.
Play around with it. Make it your own too.
Yeah, absolutely. Or if you have one of your own favorite recipes, try figuring out a way to veganize that. Or maybe there's already a version online that's already been veganized for you.
And if you do that, you can definitely go to the Plant Trainers Facebook page. You could post a picture of it with the recipe or just the picture of it there. Or you can, if you're at planttrainers.com on the show notes now, then you can definitely leave a note for us there as well and let us know what you've been up to in your kitchen.
Wicked. Yeah, I'd love to see those pictures. I'm going to hop over and check that out.
Good. So if people want to reach out to you or follow you, where do you want them to go?
My blog is itdoesn'ttastelikechicken.com. I'm on YouTube at It Doesn't Taste Like Chicken. My Instagram is It Doesn't Taste Like Chicken. And Facebook is It Doesn't Taste Like Chicken. And Pinterest also, It Doesn't Taste Like Chicken.
Okay, I'm taking notes here. Can you slow down? It doesn't taste...
Just search that and I'll show up wherever you want me to be.
I'm sure a lot of our listeners right now want to know, does it taste like chicken?
It doesn't taste like chicken, and that's the best part.
It doesn't taste like chicken.
Good, I'm glad.
And no chickens were harmed in the making of this podcast.
No, 0 chickens were harmed, thankfully. They're too cute. They like giving hugs. Have you seen those videos? Too cute. No chickens were harmed. That's the way we like it. And you know what? Chicken doesn't taste like anything anyways, really. That's the whole point. It's what you put on it. It's the seasonings, which, of course, all the seasonings are vegan. So just use the seasonings.
Same like tofu.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you just got to spice it up.
Spice it up. Cook it different ways. Prepare it so it gets all different textures. Perfect.
Sam, thank you so much for spending time with us today on the Plant Trainers podcast. I'm sure that our listeners are extremely hungry right now, and they're going to be looking for fuss-free vegan, 101 everyday comfort food favorites, veganized.
You
nailed it!
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me. What a fun way to spend my night.
Thanks so much, Sam.
Alrighty.
Thank you so much for listening to this edition of the Plant Trainers Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or any other podcast listening platforms. We appreciate the feedback we receive from you. Every time we get a 5-star rating or review on iTunes from one of our fans, it ensures other people will find us too. Thanks to our patrons. To become a patron, visit www.patreon.com/planttrainers. Even supporting us with $1 really makes a difference. Connect and follow us on Instagram and Twitter @PlantTrainers. Like Plant Trainers on Facebook, join our newsletter, and check out our website at www.planttrainers.com for awesome plant-based recipes and a list of our services. Email your questions to info@planttrainers.com so we can answer them on our upcoming Facebook Lives. We hope we've inspired you today. Join us again next time and have a healthy day.